Hi. I am so happy to be here with you guys today. I'm so happy to get to talk to you about this. I was already planning on doing this live stream on why I'm still showing up, even though my programs are full for 2020, or my one-on-one program rather. And well, I am going to do that live stream. I also want to have a different conversation at the beginning of it. And I think that's really, really important to just speak to what's going on right now. I'm still going to have that conversation with you guys. I'm going to talk to you about that, but I also want to talk to you about showing up in a different way. So yes, I'm still showing up even though my programs are full. One of the reasons I wanted to do that was because I've gotten a lot of questions on that, kind of like, why'd you still do that series? Why are you, still going live every week, all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk about that a little bit, but more importantly, I want to talk about what's happening right now in our world and in our communities, and how much our, how much suffering there is for Black people, for people of color, and just how charged and difficult this is all feeling for everyone right now. The first thing I want to say is I'm only speaking to this because I want you guys to know where I stand. I stand as someone who believes Black Lives Matter. I stand as someone who is an ally, and I stand as someone who absolutely is 1000% committed to doing the work and to making sure this group is a safe space for that. Again, I think I used that term this morning, and I don't even know if that's the perfect term. Hey, y'all. Because I know that the women of color in here, the Black women in here, don't feel safe anywhere. So I don't want to pretend that this group is like the solution to that, because I know it's not. But I want you to know that you are loved and safe here, right? That's my point. But I'm not showing up here because you should learn from me on this topic. I am like not even close to an expert on this topic. I will give you some resources of people who are, and that you can learn from, and that I'm learning from. I'm just showing up because I want you guys to know where I stand. And I also want you to know that you have my commitment, and you also have full permission to hold me accountable, right? And I feel like that's really important to say, not because it's your job to hold me accountable, and this isn't to the women of color in here, though of course you can hold me accountable. This is not like a request of you. But this is a commitment to all of my audience. Tell me what I'm getting right. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. Hold me accountable. Like, I think the thing that I have seen happen in the world, but coaching industry recently, is that people get upset when they're held accountable. And I want to give you my word that that's not happening here, because this isn't about me. I am painfully aware of how much it is not about me, and I am not here to speak as an expert. I am here to say, this is the space that I want. I love that, Julia. I'm going to say that now. Like, this is the safer space I want to create. I want to be held accountable to that. I want to know that I'm accountable to all of you guys. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I think that it's just about making it about the greater point. It's about not making it, about ourselves. I think that there is so much in that we're like, when we're held accountable, we feel like it's personal. And something I talk about so often is how business is not personal. And as soon as you remove a lot of that from it, it gets easier. And I think the work here necessitates the same. This is not personal. This is not about Lacey. This is about the greater things that are going on in our society and our culture. It's about systemic racism and all of that. It has like literally nothing to do with me, right? I'm just speaking to it so you guys know where I stand. But there is one thing I really do want to speak to that I feel like I want you guys to hear from me, which is, it's time to humble ourselves, right? I am someone who preaches showing up as an expert. I am someone who talks to her clients about showing up as an expert. I am someone who very much likes to show up as an expert. And I think that we're just so used to that. You know what I mean? Like, we're used to being in that vibe. We're used to, like, anytime I show up in my business, I'm supposed to be an expert. We can bring on that like boss bitch energy. And there's something that's so useful about that. And I talk to my clients about bringing that energy all the time. This is not the context, circumstances, situation in which to do it. And by this, I mean, the conversation around race that's happening. Humble yourselves. You do not have to be an expert in this. We are not experts in this as, you know, white women. Like, we're just not, right? And I think that I just see a lot of discomfort around that, where it's like, we almost want to like show up as the expert with like our perfectly curated list of resources and whatever. And I certainly want to provide you guys with resources, but I just want to say, like, this is not the time for that expert energy. This is the time to humble yourself and also take the pressure off. Like, it's okay to just stand up and say, like, I have no fucking idea what to say here. I have no idea if I'm going to get it right or wrong. But it goes back to that idea of like, if you get it wrong, someone will hold you accountable and you'll fix it. Like, worst thing that's going to happen, right? It's cool. This is something Julia has totally taught me, who's on here, is that like, you'll fuck it up all the time. And then if you can learn from it, that's where the growth happens, right? And this is true in so many situations, but it is especially true in this one. So just like permission for everyone who's in here and is going, but I don't know what to say, but I don't want to screw it up, but I feel like I have to be the expert. Like, the thing you have to do is humble yourself and drop the expert role, right? Because that's what's keeping this stuck. Okay. Julia said, just decide you're going to fumble and fuck up. It's just how it works. We won't die. And nobody expects us to be perfect, but they do expect us to do something right. Like, the word humble just keeps feeling so present for me, because it is like a way to humble yourself, to have to say, like, I don't know enough. I don't know enough. And I'm doing my best and I'm fumbling my way through it. Personally, for me, I have had a lot of experience as a therapist working with people of color, Black women, and had a lot of experience with that in the nonprofit world as well. I obviously have a master's degree in mental health counseling, and I will tell you, I thought for a while that that was enough. And what I have completely learned is it's not even a little bit enough. It's not even close to enough. I don't know near enough. I watched a training that Louisa Doran and Maisha T. Hill did on mental health. And I learned more in that 1 hour than I had learned in the entirety of that experience. And it took me just being willing to be humble and learn that, right? And so I think that I just want to like share that, because I think that there are these ways where we can be like, oh no, but I have experience, but I've been educated, but it doesn't matter. Right? Like, it's still time to humble yourself. This is not the time where you have to step up as an expert. And I just like really, really want to give that permission. I also want to just out myself and say that I totally had the feeling at a certain point in this is like, can't I just stay about business? Can't I just keep it about business? Like, I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud to admit that to you guys, but I just want to say it because I'm sure all of us have had that passing thought at some point where like, we kind of want it to feel easy. We want to not do the uncomfortable thing. We're like, well, I know the business thing, so can it just stay about that? And I'll tell you that I have felt that. And right? No is the answer, basically. No, it cannot. You cannot be accepting Black women, women of color into your community and then deciding that it doesn't get to be about anything else, right? It doesn't get to be about their experience. And so, I just want to like say, like, I felt that, and it's uncomfortable to have this conversation, but like, my discomfort means nothing. Your discomfort means nothing. Like, this is so much more important than our discomfort, right? And so I just want to share and be super transparent that I also had that feeling and that thought, and it doesn't matter. So if you've had that feeling and that thought, that's okay. Like, it's fine. But what are you doing about it? Are you still going to do the hard thing anyway? Right? Julia says, no matter how much exposure and experience we have, we're still white and there's more work to do, guarantee. Exactly. like I can still only see through the lens with which I have, no matter how much of that other work I've done. And now it's time to do the work to change the lens. Like that's the work I'm committed to doing right now, right? Julia said, yep, have been there too. Some days I'm like, why the fuck did I sign up for this, and would re-choose it daily. Absolutely. Raquel says, can you share the name of the documentary about mental health in the comments, or just say it again? I'm curious. Raquel, so it's Louisa Doran. Julie just tagged her at According to Ease on IG. So basically it's part of her podium membership. So it's, you sign up to be part of like her membership community basically. And it was one of the videos in there. Julia also is probably going to get you a direct link. I did another training with Weeze and Maisha T. Hill and Letty Shoemate that was called From Slave Master's Wife to Social Influencer. And that was really incredible too. So Julia may be able to find that too. Thank you, Julia. Claire says, yes, it's not about our discomfort. I mean, God, that's the least we can feel to be part of the change. Exactly, right? That is like the fucking least we can do is be kind of uncomfortable or to risk being called out, right? Like, that's okay. Like, take the risk. It's nothing compared to what our, you know, women of color and Black women are feeling in this, or people of color and Black people, of course, but I'm speaking to women in this community. And so anyway, that's the conversation I want to have with you guys. I want to give you permission to not be an expert. I want you to know that I'm not the person to learn from. I'm going to post a bunch of links and resources here. Let me see if I can just even do that really fast. Here are the women that I've been learning from. I think Julia is also going to get you a link. And like, go learn from them. Go educate yourself. Like, I have so much work to do, right? I have so much work to do. And all I can do is commit to doing it and to say that to you guys and to be okay with that, right? And I think that, like, again, as women who want to be seen as experts and things like that, it can be a hard and uncomfortable experience to say that, but permission to say that. Permission to do the uncomfortable thing, permission for it to feel hard, right? It's nothing. It's our discomfort means nothing. Okay. Permission to hold me accountable, of course. There's something else I want to tell you. Oh, I know what else I want to tell you. So Julia and Weeze did an amazing live stream earlier today. I feel like I don't want Julia to have to be my like link person, but I will find it and I will link it for you. But I also shared it in the group. And on it, Julia committed to sponsoring a woman of color to go through Weeze's program, Reclaim. Okay. And so Reclaim is basically, it's for Black, Brown, Indigenous women of color that are ready to step into their power, gifts, and magic without apologizing. Weeze has done so much of her own work on decolonization and liberation, and she teaches other women to do that. Okay, so Julia made a commitment to, perfect, Julia linked the podium. So Julia made a commitment to fully support someone to go through Weeze's program. I told her I would match that commitment. So we are both taking care of 2 spots. And we would love to invite you to join us in that. If you can match us, we would love for you to match us. That would be epic. It's also a big financial investment, and I know that not everyone can do that. But Julia is also going to be organizing it so that even if you just want to contribute to it without being able to match a full spot, that you're able to do that. And so this feels really important. And I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I'm just going to say it. I feel like a lot of women almost want to do scholarships through their own programs. And I think that's great, but it feels so different to be able to give them a scholarship to go through Weeze's program, because she has just done the work to be able to support them in a totally different way, right, than I can as a white woman. And so that just feels really good. I will tell you that a lesson I learned this week is that something I had posted was basically, thank you, Julia, was basically that I was gonna, if people donated to the Loveland organization, I was gonna give them one of my DIY programs for free. And I ended up not doing that and stopped that because what I realized is I was like still centering myself in my business. One of my friends lovingly pointed that out to me, and I immediately realized it and took action. And so anyway, I think that my point in saying that is like, that was a really great lesson for me and showed me how much work I still had to do. And it made me really excited to support someone in going through Weeze's program instead of through one of mine, right? So that's that. I'm sure there's so much more I could say and do, but again, like, I'm not the expert. I will continue to speak up in whatever way I can, but that's it. Julia said, yes, you nailed it. We aren't the safe space for BIPOC to do the deeper healing work. So let's support them in getting the right support. 100%. Thank you, Claire. We would love to have you contribute. So that's how I feel right now too, right? It's like I'm not the expert, I'm not the right person, but I want to be a voice in this. And so those are the things we can do. You can learn from these amazing women. I am in a program with them that I'm really excited to be part of. I'm paying them, which is very important for their work, but they also have a ton of free resources. Every person that I linked below has a podcast. They all have a ton of free resources. They are all very clear. Like, don't, feel like you're in this flustered mess of like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, they'll tell you, go there, listen to their podcast. I mean, I think like they have it laid out so clearly. If you listen to the live stream Julia did with Weez earlier today, she gives you 4 steps, like 4 steps. That's it. So if you're feeling, like unsure about that, that's the work to be doing. I'm personally going to be doing a lot of my own work because I know there's still so much for me to learn. There's so much I don't know. I'm going to keep showing up as best as I can, and we're going to support women going through Reclaim. So again, if you want to do that, reach out to Julia, or you can reach out to me and I'll connect you. Do not reach out to Weez. I feel like so many people are reaching out to her at this time with the best of intent, but reach out to Julia or reach out to me. Don't reach out to her. We got it. We can take that off her. Thank you, Lisa Marie. That's so beautiful. Julia says I'll organize something for people who can do partial commitments and circle back soon with more info. And I'm sure Lisa will share it too. Yep. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Julia. We love you. Okay, cool. So that's what I have to say about that. Now let's talk about why I'm still showing up. I know that feels like a weird transition, but I feel like I still want to be able to show up and serve you guys in the way that I know how to do and the way that I can. So I'm going to do that, right? And I think that that's probably a place that a lot of people are feeling weird right now. And I think that all you have to do is offer the context that I did at the beginning. Tell your people where you stand. Tell them if it's a safer space for them. Tell them how you feel. Tell them if you aren't, don't know what to do. Like, just say it, provide the context, and then you can still show up and serve. Nobody's expecting you not to do that, right? So next part of this equation, let's talk about still showing up, right? So some questions that I got basically were, when I announced like being full for the year, it's kind of like, well, how are you going to show up differently? Or why are you still showing up? Or what does that look like? And I just want to talk to you about that, because I think that like, it's going to be really helpful for you to see like, oh, this is how I can look at my business. This is how I can look at my visibility strategy, that kind of thing. But if anybody has any other like questions on the other part, feel free to comment, share it, thoughts, whatever. That's still, up for conversation, but I'm going to start transitioning. So here's the thing with why I'm still showing up. Basically, I feel like what we forget sometimes is that we're not just leaders for our clients, we're leaders for our communities, right? And so if you think your business is just about your clients, you're missing the point a little bit. And that's why this is like a helpful transition from the conversation we just had, because my business is also about my leadership in this community. And my leadership in this community means that I have to take a stance, means that I have to do the uncomfortable thing, means that I have to say something, right? But it also means that I'm still going to show up here even when like my needs are getting met over here, right? Like my commitment is to this community. So just because I'm full doesn't mean like I want you guys to feel like, well, I only show up here when I'm making money. I show up here because my business is built off this community. My business is built off the amazing women in here. My business is built off every one of you who have chosen to be here, even if you're never going to pay me. Like, right? That's fine. This is part of the leadership aspect. And so I just want to really share that, because I think that so often, like, we almost get into this like weird place where we feel like our community is only there to be a funnel. And it is a funnel. And it's this community has supported my business for years. Like, of course I'm going to support it when I'm having a time in my business where it's supported me so much that I'm full. Do you see what I mean there? I take a sip. This is a side note, but I actually think I need a voice coach. Like, I feel like when I talk a lot all day, like my throat gets so hoarse and it hurts so much, and it feels like my vocal cords literally have a hard time speaking. So if you know somebody that's good at that, or you know an exercise or something, like, I feel like I'm like, I just have to have coffee, not because I need coffee, because my vocal cords hurt. Okay, anyway, that's a side note. If anybody knows any vocal coaches, hit me up. But anyway, so that's just like an important aspect. Can you think of your community as a community that you're there to support as much as it's there to support you? When you flip that switch in your business, everything changes. You want to show up. You want to serve your people. See yourself as that leader, and you will want to show up from that place. This is true before you're even full, right? Oh, okay. This is helpful. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Lorianne. This is helpful before you're even full. See yourself as a leader of your community. Show up from that place. Do not show up in your community like, where is my next client coming from? Show up from, how can I give value? How can I serve? And I know that feels so annoying and counterintuitive, but it's like literally the entire thing that I've built my business on. And it's why I'm full now. And it's how, if you act like that before you're full, you will get full, right? How can I serve my community? It's so simple, but it changes the game from like, what's the next thing I have to do to get a client and whatever? Like, no. If you consistently show up and serve your community and see yourself as the leader and expert there, again, different than being an expert at the beginning, like we talked about, that was not the place for expert energy. This is, they will see you as an expert. They will see you as a resource. They will see you as somebody that provides value, and they will want to hire you, right? Now, most people fall on like one side of the coin or the other, right? They're like all the way on this side of the coin where like all they do is give value, but they never quite position themselves as an expert and they barely ever sell. Okay, so that's one problem. Or they're on this side of the coin where they feel like their audience is only there to serve them, and anything that doesn't look like something that serves them, they're a no to, right? Anything that looks like, you know, support, like just fully supporting their audience without an expectation or whatever, they're like, no, right? What I teach all my clients is like, if you go out and serve your people really well, I promise you they will want to buy from you. If you go lead them, if you go show them that you're an expert and then you actually sell to them, everything changes. And so I have just trained myself to be in that mentality. Like, it never even occurred to me until people started asking me that question of like, am I still going to show up? Like, it like literally never occurred to me that I wouldn't, because I've just trained myself to think about it like that. Which brings me to some of the strategy around it. Oh, cool. Thanks, Maggie. That's amazing. So this brings me to some of the strategy around it too, which is playing. Yeah, I'll say it like that. Playing the long-term game in your business. I had to think if that's how I wanted to frame it. And that doesn't mean long. It doesn't have to mean like years, but long-term meaning like what this industry has conditioned us for is to think that we should do one thing and get one result. It does not fucking work like that. Right? It just does not. Business does not work like that. I feel like I will be like screaming that until the day I die. Business does not look like action, result, action, result, action, result. No business principle supports that. I could go on and on. I don't need to. But the point is, play the long-term game in terms of touch points. So what I mean by touch points, I'm sure if you've listened to Literally, you've heard me talk about this, is like the more interactions you have with someone, the more likely they are to hire you. So we'll call those interactions touch points. Okay. So the reason I'm full right now, besides the fact that I have such high client retention, is because I have so many touch points with my audience, right? And I don't mean like on 100 platforms or anything like that. I mean like I'm in this community every single day, okay? I'm on this live stream every week, no matter what. I'm putting out a podcast every week, no matter what, okay? In fact, and this is like maybe a separate tangent, but I'll say it. Every single week I do a live stream in here. I put out the Literally podcast. I put out the Happy Thoughts Show podcast. I put out content every day in here. There's something else I do. It's like 2 podcasts, a live stream, content. I feel as though I'm missing something, but it doesn't matter. But if you think about that, 2 podcasts, Happy Thoughts, 30 minutes, Literally is an hour-ish. A live stream, whatever. Say I'm on here like an hour content. Okay, say it takes me a couple hours to create content even. That's 5 fucking hours of my week, you guys. Okay, say we even add in like serving my community and stuff like that. Let's get wild and say it's 7 hours of my week. Okay. Emails. Thank you, Claire and Raquel. I was like, there's something. Yes. Oh, thank you, Maggie. She said, I love everything you were talking about today. Taking a stand for being anti-racist and showing up for your community. I believe in the long game as well, both as a human, as a coach. Beautiful. Cool. So like, let's say we're talking like 7 hours of time. Would you put 7 hours of time in to be full? Would you put 7 hours of time in to consistently be a leader in your community, even if you're not going to make more money off that? If the answer for that is no, you don't like the business you're in and you need to rethink it. Because even my clients that are working 20 hours a week and have kiddos at home and stuff, they would say yes to that. Okay. And it doesn't even have to be 7. I'm just making that up because that's what I'm saying. Say it's 5 for you. You don't have, who the fuck has 2 podcasts? Like it's not a necessity. Do you know what I mean? Say it's 5. Would you put in 5 hours to lead your community, even if you weren't going to get paid extra for that? Ask yourself that question. That is a very fucking important question. Okay. And if not, I would relook at how you're showing up and how you're leading and what you're talking about, because you might not like it that much, or you might have to switch some things up, or you might have to do it in a way you like better. But that's an important question, right? So that's why it's easy for me to still show up, because of course I would still show up for that. Now, I went off on a tangent. Let's get back to touch points. I'm on a roll today. So the touch point conversation there, though, is like, there are so many touch points that people have with me from that. Again, this is not to say go be on every platform. In fact, I'm talking about the exact opposite this week. However, what I am saying is like, most of my clients come from the fact that they've interacted with me multiple times over and over again. They don't come because I put out one post. I think that is just such a fucking fallacy in this industry. Like, I hate when people are like, grab my post that made me whatever, 100K. That post didn't make you 100K. Building an audience that wants to buy off that post is what makes you 100K. I could say that on other posts, but that's not the thing. Like, that post didn't make me money. The fact that they've had 20 touch points with me before they saw that post, that's what makes me convert. So even if I'm not going to sell into one-on-one again until whatever, January of next year or something like that, February of next year, I think is when we're sold out till, I'm still going to build up all those touch points, because then when I'm ready, I know I'll have people that are waiting and ready to hire me. That's the trick, right? That's like the whole strategy. That's the hack. Have enough touch points that people want to do more with you. It's like, I think people get so scared of like, am I going to give too much? Am I going to give too much value? And then they're never going to hire me. No, they're never going to hire you if you don't fucking sell to them or get them on the phone or whatever, but they're not going to hire you, or not going to hire you because you gave a lot of value and showed up a ton. That's not a thing. Okay. It's just not. The reason people are going to hire you, especially in an industry that is saturated and noisy, is because they've had enough connection points with you. They've watched enough of your videos. They've listened to enough of your podcast. They've read enough of your content, whatever that is for you. It does not have to be all of them. That's what moves the needle. And so that's what I mean by play the long game. That might take 3 weeks or it might take 3 months, but either way, that's the actual game that we're playing that makes the most results, right? And so finding ways to have those consistent touch points with your audience will get you consistent clients and consistent money. When people get into feast or famine mode in their business, it's because they don't have those consistent touch points. They'll go out there and they'll do like, a huge thing for a launch and have like 1 million touch points, and then they fully pull back for a long time. The way that my business has always been full and stayed full is because I always am consistent with my touch points and I'm always consistently showing up for that. Now, what that could look like for you totally depends, but you have to be thinking about that game in your head. Like, if they come into my community, how many touch points are they going to have with me? Am I going to engage on their post? Are they going to see my content? Are they going to get a video from me that week? Are they going to also get an opt-in opportunity? And then are they going to get an email from me? Like, that relationship building over time, right, is what makes it an easy yes for someone, because they literally have that relationship with you, right? So again, to the point of like why I'm still showing up, it's because I know if I don't show up now, I don't get a client later, right? That's part of it too. Besides leading this community, it's smart and strategic. And also it's so much easier once you're in the habit to keep doing it. It's so hard to restart the habit all the time. So like to run at something and be visible everywhere and then to pull back and then to have to restart it again and then to pull back, like that is so much worse, you guys. It's like, when you're someone that like consistently exercises and then you stop, how much harder it is to start, but it's so easy to keep it going. That's this, right? So it's like, I would never pull back from all these things because number one, strategically, that makes no sense. Number two, I want to be a leader of this community. And number three, because it would be fucking hard to start again, right? So if you're in that feast or famine mode or you're finding it really hard to start again, that's why, right? Raquel said, oh my God, feast or famine is me, something to work on. Appreciate this. Something that is also exhausting for my nervous system, the big push and then pull back. 1000%. 1000%. It is really tiring and it's really hard to get the momentum moving again, right? I could use like 100 examples and analogies of that, but it's always harder to get the momentum moving. So let me see what else I want to say here. Yeah. So the feast or famine really comes because we go so hard and pull way back versus like if you can, like, I want to say stick it out, but that's not the way I mean it. But if you can like just keep showing up, even if you don't have anything to sell right then, or even if you're full or whatever, great. You're going to find it so much easier. Like, I want my business to feel easy. Me continuing to show up is how that can happen, right? And also, like, I want to. I want to be here to support you guys. I think that another conversation I want to have a little bit around this is like, I'm trying to think how I want to say this, but like, basically, like, do you really care about the transformation? Right? And so for me, like, I really care so much. That's why I'm committed to one-on-one. I really care so much. That's why I'm going to still show up. I really care so much. That's why I want to have the hard conversation with you guys at the beginning of this live stream, because I care a lot about this community. And I feel like sometimes when we're in that initial place where we just want to get full, we just want to hit that 10K month, it's really easy to forget that it's about caring about your people, caring about your community, and being a leader, because we're so focused inward sometimes. We're like, I got to hit this number. I got to hit this number. But I promise you, as soon as you stop seeing it about that and you start seeing it about your people and your connection with them and your touch points and your experience with them and your transformation that you can give them in your community, everything will get easier. And that's really hard to do, I get, when you're in that place that's like, I just need to get to the next level. I'm not saying the money isn't important. It's super fucking important. It's why I can fully sponsor a women and reclaim, like we talked about earlier, like that. This community is why I can do that. So I'm not trying to like make light of that. But what I will tell you is that shifting that thought process around it makes it so much easier to show up consistently, makes it so much easier to get the client, makes it so much easier to get full. So that thought process is what gets you that result too. But I feel like I'm jumping all over the place today. Sorry. The strategy behind it is the touch points that we were talking about, right? Like that really is it. So like I'm at a point in my business now, and again, I'm not saying everyone has to get here, but I want to explain it, where most people that get on the phone with me are already 1000% yes, because they've consumed so much of my stuff. They've listened to a whole season of Literally, they've watched a ton of videos. They know me, they know my heart, they've been in my community. They're already a yes, right? That's why I'm full. That's why it's easy to close sales calls. Also, it's a huge reason we're closing down is because of client retention. But regardless, that's why we were able to get full in the first place, right? Is because of that. So what I really want you to see there is that it doesn't mean you have to like also have 2 podcasts and whatever. It just means give them enough of your stuff that they can consume and give them enough interactions with you so that they want to buy. One thing I teach everyone, especially in my value-centered sales program, which by the way, I'm not even going to go there. It's a different concept. But that's what I teach in value-centered sales too, is like do free calls at first, because that's a huge touch point. Someone's on the phone with you one-on-one, they're getting to know you. Like that's an incredible touch point opportunity. Obviously I can't do free calls anymore, but I can do it in a different way. And so where I think people get confused is there are a lot of places, not one place giving the same consistent touch points, or they're not walking their audience really clearly through those touch points. And so what I mean by that is like, they're doing this one thing on Instagram and then they're doing this other thing on Facebook, and it doesn't all connect so that they get multiple touch points with you. Like know your journey here for your clients, right? So what I'm always saying to my clients is like, where does the podcast, if you have a podcast, where does the podcast send them? If you have a Facebook group, how are they coming there? If you have an Instagram, where are we pushing them to? Like, I want all of that to connect. My Instagram is going to tell you to listen to Literally. Literally is going to tell you to get on my email list, right? My email list is going to tell you about this group. Okay. So like, it all makes sense then. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're on my email list, you've heard about this group. If you're in this group, you've been given a chance to get on my email list. Like we're always making it so that people can have multiple experiences with us, right? And that's really, really important, because that's what is going to create the relationship that creates the buyer. Okay. And so if you're not cultivating that connection with your audience, if you're not giving them multiple touch points, and if you're not doing that really, really, really consistently, it's going to be a much harder, longer trudge to fill your programs, right? If you're doing all those things, then once you go to sell or launch the program, you have people that have cultivated a relationship with you that are ready to do something, that are ready to buy. If you wait until you want to sell something or launch to cultivate that, you've missed the opportunity. Okay. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions? I feel like I've been bouncing around a little bit today. So just tell me if you have questions and I will answer them. What else did I say I was going to talk about? I'm just going to look at my little notes here. Let me know if you have questions. So strategy wise, just to kind of like summarize a little bit here, have consistency and multiple touch points, and know where your journey is. Know your buyer's journey, your customer's journey. Help them have multiple touch points with you. give them something that they can binge on, that they can listen to, that they can read, right? So that they get on the phone with you eventually, already knowing you, already ready to buy. If you're new, fast forward this by just getting on calls with people. Okay. Also, see your audience as a community that you are the leader of. See your people as people that you want to serve and support and show up for. Don't just look at it through the lens of like, how do I make the next sale? Look at playing the long game in your business. Look at how you can really serve, because when you really serve, then people want to buy, right? So many of my clients I have served in a multitude of ways before they ever buy from me. Okay. So that's just really important. And then be willing to continue to serve. Like, I think that, again, the feast or famine comes when you like go all the way in and then pull back because you got full or whatever. Make the room, like I was saying, for those 5 to 7 hours in your week to continue to do that no matter what. Of course, if I wasn't on a live stream and wasn't recording podcasts, would I have more room for clients? Of course I would. Of course I would. I would make more money and I'd have more room for clients. But I would hurt my business so much and I would hurt this community. So really think about like, how am I cultivating the time for that super consistently instead of it being like an all or nothing mentality, right? Stephanie said, what are your thoughts on selling at this time? I mean, here's what I would say. I would, first of all, I would point you to watch the live stream that Julia and Lise did earlier today, because Lise addressed this really clearly. And she is definitely way more an expert on this than I am. But what I will tell you is this. I don't think anyone expects us to stop selling or stop moving our business forward. I know that the Black women and the women of color in this group are not looking to us for that. They are not asking us for that. They just aren't. They're asking us for allyship, and they're asking us to call things out and to speak to what's going on and to be, like very clear where we stand. You know what I mean? And even if we don't know what to do about it or what to say about it, still saying something. So I think when we feel weird selling, sometimes it's because we're not addressing the elephant in the room. But if you address it, I think that, yes, absolutely. No one wants you to stop making money or shut down your business. Make more money and donate to Reclaim, right? Or any other amazing organization that's supporting this cause, of course. But yeah, like I don't believe that that's what anyone is asking from us. I don't believe that serves anyone. However, if you're doing that without the other conversation, without the other context, without telling the women of color and Black women in your community where you stand, that is where I think the line is, right? They want to know that they have a safer space there, right? And you can't really cultivate that without the conversation, but that also doesn't mean don't sell. Again, I'm not a fucking expert on this. That's just my take. If I got that wrong, somebody tell me, somebody hold me accountable, somebody call me out. But that's what I would tell you. And I would also tell you to watch that video, because we also gave like 4 really clear steps in that. And I know some of it is like, do your own work too. So it's like, you can feel an integrity selling if you're also, like doing your other work. So that's something I would say. Cool. Okay. I think that's it. Keep showing up in your business, whether you're full or not selling or not launching right now. Those consistent touch points, that consistent visibility, and that consistent community leadership, truly, you guys, truly, this is it. Like, I feel like people almost think I'm not saying something, but when I say like, people are just get on the phone with me now and are ready to purchase because they've had so many touch points with me. And by the way, everyone's different with that. Like, I have some people who have been following me for a year before they buy from me. And I have some people who binge listen to literally in a 2-week period and then are ready to hire me. So it's not to say it can't happen fast, even if you're playing the long game. It's just to say it's so much easier. So like in value-centered sales, I talk about starting, getting, and keeping the sale. And by starting, I mean, like, you start it with these content points, with these touch points, right? You don't start it when you like are like finally ready to make the sale. You start it way before that. I always say the sale starts way before the sales call, right? But if you do that well, the sales call gets fucking easy. You know what I mean? So good context there on filling your practice, being a leader, showing up, really serving your people. Again, you can commit that time. I know it takes away from other stuff. Like if we look at my 7 hours, of course I could, whatever, fit however many clients in there and be making however X more a month, but that's not sustainability, right? That's not being a leader of this community. That's not knowing where the next clients are coming. Like I know in February when I'm ready to open again, or in September when we go to fill, well, I guess we'll fill in August, whatever. In August, when we go to fill the value-centered sales mastermind again, I know that my clients or my future clients will be ready then because I've shown up this time. Okay. So I hope that's helpful. I promise you there's like no other big strategy behind that. Touch points, show up, serve your people. Thank you guys for listening to my conversation at the beginning of this. Like, even if I stumble through it, I just so appreciate everyone in this community. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate, your commitment to doing the work as well and doing the same. If you want to support Reclaim, get in touch with Julia, get in touch with me. We will facilitate that. If you want to match us, we're so down for that. If you just want to contribute, that would be incredible. Check out the resources I left here, and that's it. That's all I got today. I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful week. Bye.